Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mixed Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they pay for CDL training. Apply today and start your new career with a $2,500 hiring bonus. From Nebco's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com. General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
Midwest Bank is proud to be your local community bank right here in Lincoln. This is Travis with Midwest Bank, now with 2 branches conveniently serving Lincoln and 8 other locations across Nebraska. We're here to help you with any of your needs. From opening a checking account to buying a home or financing your business, our staff is here for you. Stop in and you might see Shin Daddy himself. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Learn more at midwest.bank, member FDIC.
Ryan, with all this red and all these people around, I'm still not seeing the tailgate.
Todd Spidell, former body shop owner, terrible driver.
We're getting close. Now, did you know with 3 locations in Lincoln and hundreds of years of combined technician experience, we can get Husker fans back on the road even quicker and safer after their tailgate mishaps? Oh, Todd, turn left right here.
Left or right?
Left, right here.
Right?
Well, you wait for the tow truck. I'm getting a hot dog.
Well, I guess while I'm waiting. All right! Most recommended! Eustace Body Shop!
Woohoo! Dude, you should be on American Idol.
You really think so?
No.
Accidents happen, even to Husker fans. If it happens to you, call Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Attention students and anyone else looking for a great deal. Sun Valley Lanes and Games has the ultimate weeknight special. For just $15.95, enjoy unlimited bowling, lucky putt mini golf, and laser tag. Flash your college ID at check-in to receive $2 off your admission. It's the perfect way to unwind Sunday through Thursday nights. Check out sunvalleylanes.com for hours and availability. Sun Valley Lanes and Games, located at 321 Victory Lane.
Lincoln's best place to meet, eat, and compete. Sun Valley.
Explain to me again why we're sleeping on the ground.
Because we're thramping, thrift camping. It's saving us money and getting us closer to nature.
But we don't need to thramp. I just combined our home and auto insurance with our State Farm agent, so we have a rate that fits our budget.
All right. Do you think our agent can bring us an air mattress?
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Individual premiums and budgets will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
An hour ago, you didn't need a plumber. Now you're in a panic. When life throws you a surprise with a clogged drain, plugged or leaky toilet, broken pipe, leaky faucet or water heater, or a bathroom or kitchen plumbing upgrade, whatever. Just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing, 467-1111. Keep that number handy, 467-1111. Or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown. 45 yards.
And return specialist.
This time it beats the kicker in one more.
Des Moines Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome into Don't Punt Hour. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, we got the host, Mornay Pierson-El, calling in on the Allo VIP line where they understand the importance of exceptional service with a local heart. Just wrapped up with DP and one-on-one with Barry Thompson. Great to have DP back. And, of course, Barry Thompson, always a favorite come Wednesdays. But the Mornay Pierson-El, I want to spend a lot of time on college football today. That was the plan yesterday until the Jets decided to be the Jets and fire Robert Saleh mid-season. So we're going to do that today instead. But how's it going on this Wednesday night?
It's going good, halfway through the week.
Yeah, right. It is officially hump day for everybody out there. For me, I'm over that because I don't work Fridays. So I'm out. I'm over the hump already. But nonetheless, the first team I want to talk about when we go to college football is the Michigan Wolverines. Because DPE, they have a chance to be the repeat offenders of winning a championship to not even going bowling. The last one to do that being TCU. Right now, they got 4 wins. And I want to give you their schedule here because there really might be a scenario where these guys scrape and get 2 wins, which there are 2 games left on their schedule where you can definitely see them winning. But there also could be some panic set in where if it gets really close and you're looking at 2 games left on the season, we've seen that pressure really break teams. The Huskers, for one, you see how many times late in the season they just needed 1 more. And they couldn't find a way to get it. So let me give you Michigan's schedule right now. They got 4 wins. Up next, and keep in mind, they just lost to Washington 27-17. Number 23, Illinois, on the road. They get Michigan State at home. They get Oregon at home. Then they're on the road heading to Bloomington, Indiana. Then they host Northwestern. And then they're on the road versus Ohio State. So there's only 2 teams left on their schedule out of the 6 that aren't ranked, and that being Michigan State, Northwestern. The ranked opponents, Illinois, Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State. How real of a threat is it that Michigan might fall flat on their face and not even go bowling?
I don't unless that offense, gets worse than what it is. I don't think that's a viable, situation for them. Their defense is still, somewhat very, very good and disciplined. And I mean, maybe outside of Illinois, and I'm back and forth, with Indiana. I think like them playing those two teams, like they're still dominant enough on the defensive side that they can kind of will the games out of that. Ohio State, that's probably a loss. I still think they can dominate against Oregon. I don't think Oregon is a physical team that can handle that type of physicality. So I'm not too shocked. I can see them getting, 7, maybe 8 wins.
Yeah, I think they will go bowling. I think they definitely, it's that loss to Washington is troubling because it does say that like this team is not nearly good enough to what they were last year where they can just rely on a dominant line of scrimmage play because it just hasn't been. Like they're still solid defensively, but offense, they don't have that same makeup where they can just shove you around and run the ball. And they got a QB in Tuttle right now who 10 for 18 this last game. Like you don't have a ton of confidence in him. That offense is bad enough to where it can stall out and lose enough games. I think that's a real threat with teams like Indiana, simply for the fact that if they can score a lot of points, I don't know if Michigan's good enough to kind of match with them. But
with Michigan's defense, though, I don't see Indiana just blowing them out. Like I'm not. I get what you're saying from an offensive standpoint, but if your defense, can keep it, under 21, I think that, the type of team Michigan can be and is known for, that's still a winnable game. Washington, that's just, one of those things. It was, I don't think that'll be necessarily something that is we are accustomed to see. But like outside of Ohio State, the only, 2 teams that I feel like are a, true threat, like I said, or, that might happen with is, Indiana and Illinois outside of Ohio State. all of those other teams, I think they are going to be at the mercy of Michigan.
I think Sharon Moore is in for some trouble. I'm not that confident on this defense. I'm really not. Keeping them under 21 is the magic number you threw out. They haven't kept anybody under 21 that wasn't of a decent caliber. They kept Fresno State to 10. Good. You kept Arkansas State to 18. Should be. But then you gave up 24 to USC. USC, I'm not sure if is that good anymore. We'll talk about that with Minnesota. Hey, Minnesota, they gave up 24 to them, team who just beat USC. Washington, they gave up 27. Texas, they gave up 31. And again, those two. Texas, I get, right? Like they are dominant. I got no issues with you losing to Texas, even though it wasn't even close. Like Texas is that good for me. But I don't think their defense is as good as what we thought it was going to be either. It's still solid, but they are giving up a lot more points than what they were last year. And part of that's a bunch of 3 and out from the offense.
Most definitely. But, 24 is not like, oh, my God, that's still a winnable game. You can still win by a field goal. You can still win by, a safety with that. So I still think that's in the ballpark range of Big Ten ball, for them. It just depends on, do you get somewhat of a consistent offense or do you get a horrible offense when they play? That's going to be, their Achilles heels going on for the rest of the season is exactly what are you getting on the offensive side that, might make the game not so bad, ugly.
And that's what I'm betting on, is that the offense makes it really ugly. I just think they're going to have some stall outs in that defense. They've only scored 30 points once or 30 or more, and that was Fresno State. Otherwise, they are kind of 20 to 30, take your pick on what they end up scoring. And, my whole thing, why they might be on the outside looking in, even though if I was going to bet, I'd probably go ahead and say they're going to go bowling. Those 3-point games, like it's just a field goal, a bad missed field goal, and the other team finds a way to win it. We saw that with Minnesota. If you're going to be in a lot of these games where your offense isn't good enough to separate yourself, and your defense is still giving up roughly 20 plus points. Now they're not getting blown out. I think it's one where if they catch enough bad luck or just poor special teams play, you're going to have a TCU 2.0 where they are going to have to try to reestablish what their culture is. Let's just even looking past this year, right? Say they go bowling, and even then I think most Michigan fans are going to be disappointed with the season. Do you have faith in Sharon Moore and this team being able to get back to where they were in previous years? Not saying they got to go win a national championship, but at least be a contender. A
national championship contender? No, I think if he does good this year, it'll show the recruits and everybody else is that, hey, look, we can still be good. We can still, compete at a high, efficient level. And, kind of turning the page in Michigan history with just, getting away from the Harbaugh stuff. But you can still, get, somewhat a cream of the crop. Maybe not, the top or, certain people that, Ohio State may be getting or a Penn State, may get. But you're still winning enough to entice, certain people to still come and play there. But get back to a national championship level competing or, contender, no, a lot is going to have to change, or he's going to have to show, I think, a lot more consistency on the defense and the offensive side for that to even come back to the table on a discussion.
How much of a role is Connor Stallions in all of this? Like, is this a thing where it's a real conversation to have, or is that overplayed? Like them being able to get the advanced scouting in that championship year run?
The whole situation is just not him. You know what I mean? And the fact that the NCAA is dragging their feet on the situation is for this long. And, it's getting to the point to where people have just like, they're over it and they're not even paying attention, and they're just kind of getting swept under the rug.
I think that's what they wanted, right? Or am I just too far tinfoil hat on that?
No, that's exactly it. So, it's annoying, and I think, that season has an asterisk. You guys are cheating. Like, you went above and beyond more than what, you typically have or you typically get to go out there, and teams knew that you were cheating. So you know what I mean. So that team will always have an asterisk. I don't care what anybody says about things, but I'm just not blaming. Excuse me, I'm just not putting the blame on Connor. That goes against everybody under that banner or whatnot. But with the head coach, like I said, if he at least gets to 8 games, he can still show, regardless of what people have said and what's going on, for them to still be able to win. You might entice enough recruits to kind of carry you or get you over the hump, or maybe get you to a 9-3 or maybe a 10-2 at some point in time in the near future, or at least scratch at what Harbaugh was doing before they were at least beating Michigan and kind of turn the page on things.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, this is where when I kind of look at Michigan, it's upsetting a little bit, because I think there really should be an asterisk. Like, I think that's total crap. You guys got to scout the way you did, and you just kind of got some slap on the wrist penalties. Like, it wasn't like they were just scouting a little bit harder than anybody else. Like, having him there in person behind that is an insane level of you getting an advantage. It's no longer like you just scouted well. It's like you got the script. And that's a lot different than you got just a few benefits from doing a little extra scouting that bended the rules a little bit, went to the gray area. It wasn't the gray area. It was the red area. And you didn't just get some tips and pointers. You got the damn script. So, like, I think they need like an asterisk, and that's, not trying to be too harsh or anything, but I think that's absolute crap, especially for how stingy they've been in the past, taking away, the Reggie Bush Heisman, for example. If you're going to take that away, you can at least put an asterisk on this Michigan football team, because you know what? They won it. I think they were a good team, and I think that's what makes it a bigger disgrace, is you did not need to do that to go win a national championship that year. And just because you won it, like, I don't feel any need to protect Michigan. You cheated. There's no question about it. There should be some sort of an asterisk there, or at least on the banner calls it out after cheating with Connor Stallions for X amount of games. Because you're great after that. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's my whole point. I'm just pissed. I think there should be an asterisk.
The NCAA chooses and decide who they want to punish. Look at the whole Johnny Manziel situation, swept under the rug, So it's actually NCAA fashion of how things are going, and them not being able to address certain things or whatnot. I don't think people will ever get the justice for it. But it like I said, I always look at that team as like, man, y'all cheated to get there, regardless of what anybody says or try. Like, you didn't win it fair and square. You had extra things. You had extra, adrenaline shot or steroid or something to get you over edge. And that's just not, they won't be champion. You can punish Reggie Bush for you can punish Reggie Bush for pretty much NIL or, accepting certain things or whatever, or a misinterpretation of what exactly happened, and snatch up his stuff, fast or whatnot. But time and time again, the NCAA bats an eye to what they want to bat an eye to, or makes punishment to who they want to make punishment to. So I'm not surprised by it. And honestly, it is what it is. I mean, I don't think Michigan will be as relevant as they have been these last few years. I think they'll kind of go back to being the little brother of Ohio State.
I think so too. And I think that's going to be a rude awakening. I think Ohio State's going to have that statement game at the end of the year being like, remember that you just had a few fun years, but we have and always will own the Big Ten. And hopefully it's Nebraska one day, but there's no question, at least as things sit right now, looks like Ohio State. I don't see them dropping a game anytime soon, but yeah, I mean, and it just goes back. It's like you're willing to rip away one of the most prized trophies from Reggie Bush for some minor infringements. It's not like he was accepting millions of dollars. You got a team that actually cheated, that definitely had an advantage winning games because of the cheating, and a slap on the wrist does not cut it. Take away some hardware or put an asterisk in the record book. And to your point, I don't think they care. I don't think they will. I think they want to move on from this and just not have that story be continue to talk about. So I think that's the fan of college football fans. You see a Michigan fan, they want to talk about that trophy. you know, you can call it Connor Stalions trophy, because I just think that's the only way it's going to be remembered, is if college football fans call out. They were a good team, and that's what bothers me about it. Like, they did not need to do what they did in order to get an advantage. And if you want to go full conspiracy, when Connor Stalions got in the mix, that's when they really did start winning a lot of games. But I do think that roster was good enough to where, and Jim Harbaugh, whether you think he's a weird guy or not, he knows how to coach and he knows how to win. And I'll give them that. Like, with Jim Harbaugh, even if he didn't have Connor Stalions, he would have found a way to get that program start to win a ton of ball games, just with the way they built that offensive line. But the defense is always the key factor for how dominant and good that defense was. It makes sense when you kind of start to realize they had scouted a little bit more and over the line than they should have, because the defense was prepared for everything that any audible you could even throw at them. And they were just always ready for it. We saw that versus Nebraska. We had Nuri, a guy who played on that offensive line, even shout out a few plays where he's like, there's no way they could have known that without having some advanced scouting. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's not going to happen. Most likely, that's just going to forever be a title for the Michigan Wolverines. But who knows? Maybe some years of chaos and potentially not going bowling this year is the revenge of that whole situation. But let's move on here, because that's all I got on my Michigan rant. I just think it's ridiculous, but I am having a good time seeing if that team's even going to be able to go bowling at the end of the year. I want to talk about some other college football games that we just did not have time to talk about throughout the week due to all the breaking news. We still haven't even talked about Alabama and Vanderbilt. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because everybody's talked about it. But what I want to talk about is Alabama's defense is starting to get themselves in some shootouts. And I think we're seeing this with the defense of Alabama, where Alabama's offense is always going to be electric. But there's going to be a lot of games that Vanderbilt just showed us. Teams are going to be able to get in a shootout with Alabama, and it's going to be who ends up with the ball last or who doesn't turn it over. Is there some real issues with the Crimson Tide, and in particular that defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, absolutely. Saban's gone. I don't care what anybody says. The fear of God is gone. They don't care. You're regular. Y'all are just like anybody else. Y'all can lose on any given Saturday. People aren't afraid to honestly hit you in the mouth. And I mean, we've seen that. Alabama is dominant, and you know they've played some of these other teams and look dominant. But what happens? The whole Georgia situation. I mean, outside of Georgia just being, Alabama just being the Achilles heel of Georgia, you know, that's a little bit different. But Saban's not there to kind of tighten things up or whatnot, or keep kids online or whatnot. DeBoer is a good coach, good offensive minded and everything like that, but clearly Saban ain't there. And I'm not saying that the kids don't respect him or don't, but you got a little bit more freedom. You got a nicer guy in there that maybe is not as harsh or as on point, as Saban was. So I mean, that could definitely cause some issues, and I think you're seeing it now. You know, it's blood in the water. It's sharks out there in the SEC, and don't be surprised. You know, other teams coming and taking their best shot, their best swing at Alabama. If Vandy can do it, we better than Vandy for sure. As long as we do this, we got a chance type thing.
Yeah, and Saban is certainly missed. It's funny, after Vanderbilt was able to pull off that upset, they played the quote from Saban on game day, where he said the only place that's not tough to play in the SEC is Vandy. And they played that. And I guess that's not true if Saban's not there. Maybe if Saban's there, that isn't a tough place to play. But this is where I think that Alabama is always going to be good for at least a good 10 more years, unless something drastic happens. I think DeBoer is going to be a good coach, but this is where Alabama was able to really separate themselves. It's like, look at how upset Saban would get in those blowout wins. Like, he would be screaming at his backup QB while they're up 35 points. Like, he knew that the moment you take the quote-unquote rat poison of, you have success and you're not handling it right, you're just enjoying the success as opposed to continuing to want more. He knew that was always the threat of a great program. And when Alabama became a great program, he did not let any of those guys feel any sort of reassurance that they can coast. Like, he would lose his mind over the smallest things, knowing that as soon as they aren't pushing like they were before when they weren't on top, other teams start to catch up. And that's why nobody outside of Georgia, which, part of his tree, so it makes a little bit of sense there, was able to ever catch up with Alabama because he would not let it happen. He never let players feel like they were in a situation where they could take a play off. Like, it's a blowout win. It's a non-con game. You're up by 70. He's going to get mad at you for something. I do think this defensive side of the ball is going to be a problem for Alabama, because even just looking at this Tennessee game, right? Are we confident that Alabama is going to be able to go and beat Tennessee? I think they'll score a lot of points against Tennessee.
No,
I think they're going to give up a lot, though.
I think Alabama might, their knees might be having a boxing match. They're looking at that game like, wait a minute now. Like, that can be, it's at Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's on the road.
Yeah, so that right there, that's not easy. Alabama right now, how back in school, how your teacher, you're one way with your teacher, but the substitute teacher comes and you typically do stuff that you normally wouldn't do. That's Alabama right now. They got
That's a great analogy.
They got the substitute teacher in there right now, and your kids are testing their boundaries, testing the limits, seeing what we can and can't get away with, because the normal teacher is not here. So I don't know how to act when that person is gone or whatnot. That's Alabama's situation right now, and I'm not. DeBoer is going to be there full time. He'll understand some things and whatnot. I think he'll be fine, but he's going to go through some growing pains. Again, these kids have been under Saban, majority of them at least 3 years, or at least a year outside of the freshmen coming in. So yeah, they're going to test their boundaries. Things are different. Certain things you never see, on the field that transpired. Not just that. Of course, there was other, stuff off the field on the sideline of people yelling and whatnot or anything like that. But Saban was not having that at all. And now you see the cracks in the armor. And I'm telling you, the sharks are out there, and it's going to be something.
Yeah, I think to your point, like people aren't nearly as scared of Alabama as they used to be. Like, they just aren't. With Saban being gone is a massive deal. And this isn't a shot at DeBoer, the new head coach for Alabama. I mean, those shoes to fill were massive. And to your point, like, even if you feel like you got everything tightened up and dialed up and everything it needs to be what it is, still, like, Saban's standard was such a unique and high standard that even if you think you are a tough-nosed coach where you don't let your guys get away with anything, it's probably still not as much as what Saban was doing. So, and this could be, in DeBoer's case, what you needed in a weird way was it a humiliating loss to Vanderbilt. And then going to those guys like, are we going to lock in now, right? Like, as your point, they're sharks in the water. You have their attention now. If you want to start grilling them and get them to conform to your philosophy and how you want to coach football, a humiliating loss to Vanderbilt might actually be better for you in the long run. Not great for you this season, but down the road, maybe this is the game where Alabama gets back to being Alabama, and that defense turns a page. But if you get another loss to Tennessee, like, it's going to be a real question going forward is, how good is this Alabama defense? Because I'm looking at the schedule. Tennessee's going to be a shootout. I don't trust the defense versus Tennessee. LSU is going to be a shootout. Don't trust the defense there either. Even a team like Missouri, how good are you stopping the run? And stop, like, Missouri's going to play a physical game. Can you stop that on the defensive side of the ball? Alabama's certainly got some questions right now. I throw Missouri in there, even though Missouri was kind of disappointing last time I watched them. But for the most part, Alabama is not gone, but their defense has certainly taken a step back. And you even saw that a little bit last year, and now it's really starting to come to a head. With new coach, everything's just feeling like it's a little bit off. Offense is going to be fine. The offense looks spectacular, but certainly that defensive side of the ball, Alabama might be looking at a few more losses at the end of the season if they happen to get in more shootouts, because their defense is not good enough to just shut opponents down. All right, with that being said, we'll throw it to break here. I want to talk some more college football on the other side, some more interesting games from week 6, and then just week 7. There are some great games in the slate for week 7. It's a good thing Nebraska's got to bye this week, because if you're a college football fan, you're going to want to sit in front of your TV and catch as much of the action as you can. So don't go anywhere. We'll keep talking some college football here. Don't Punt Hour with the morning Pierson-El on the Allo VIP line.
It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session, and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and following your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
I'm softball player Jordy Ball, and I'm proud of my Nebraska roots, and I'm proud to be back home. And at Midwest Bank, they're proud to be your local community bank. They believe in family first, taking initiative, showing integrity, and rolling up their sleeves to support their local communities. They treat everyone like family, no matter where you're from. Whether you walk into a branch in York, Lincoln, Norfolk, or Pierce, you know you're going to be welcomed with a smile. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank.
Looking for a place to relax and unwind after a busy day? Cigars Lounge at 8th and Q in the Haymarket is the perfect place to enjoy good company, a cocktail, and of course a cigar. Visit Cigars Lounge on Tuesdays for Top Shelf Tuesday and enjoy 50% off select spirits. Cigars Lounge offers Perdomo, San Cristobal, Rock Patel, and more of the top stogie brands that you know and love. But that's not all. If you mention this ad between noon and 5 p.m., you'll receive 15% off your entire tab just by mentioning the ticket. Check out Cigars Lounge today at 8th and Q in the Haymarket. All right, Rico, let's do the final checklist before we head out. We have a lot of people coming to the tailgate today.
I'm ready.
Burgers?
Check.
Chips?
Check.
Icy cold beer?
Check. Except this one.
I'm forgetting something. Wait a second. Where's the Führer's cheese spread?
I can't stop eating it.
Rico!
Relax. I always pack extra. It's the biggest hit of the tailgate.
For the best appetizer, party dip, and tailgate snack, load up on Führer's cheese spread today in most local grocery stores.
Riddle's Jewelry is excited to be celebrating 65 years. 65 years of so many incredible memories celebrating with each of your special moments. In celebration of the 65th Riddle's Jewelry anniversary, we will be offering up to 40% off all engagement rings and all diamond fashion jewelry. The excitement doesn't stop there. Riddle's Jewelry is also offering 18 months, 0% interest and $0 down financing on all qualifying purchases. Riddle's Jewelry has always been known for incredible customer service, one of the largest selections of engagement rings, and don't forget about the on-site jeweler. Come celebrate with us at Riddle's Jewelry, your one-stop diamond shop with exclusive Levian jewelry, Pandora Charm jewelry, and more, all at Riddle's inside Gateway Mall. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
What's the radon level at your home? Don't know? Find out with a call to Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Make sure your home is safe with a radon check from Bryant. If you've already tested, ask Bryant for a free estimate for mitigation. Once completed, you'll get a report showing how much safer your home is. When it comes to radon, call Bryant. 467-1111 for testing and mitigation. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $23 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
It's game day at Raising Cane's. If you want to order like a champ, it's the action off the field you need to focus on. The only play you're running is chicken. So what combo are you picking? Make it a perfect season. We've got tailgates of hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers and cane sauce, and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. All available to order online or on our app. Touchdown! This season is about to be unbeatable. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and following your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Demorne Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in. Don't Punt Hour. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. We're going to keep talking some college football here. In particular, some great games to schedule, circle for this week 7 coming up. Good morning, Pierson-El. Looking at this, is there any games before we really dive into it that you are circling as must-watch TV for week 7?
That Penn State and Oregon is this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, Penn State and USC, not Oregon.
Sorry. I think the Red River rivalry. Let me see.
Yeah, that one's obvious. You got Texas, Oklahoma. That's definitely a big one that you're going to want to circle.
Who else?
You got Ohio State and Oregon, but I'll be honest, this one seems like it'll be fun for the first quarter.
I said Penn State and Oregon. I mean Ohio State and Oregon. I'm like, I know there was a big one. There's like 2 other ones. Hold on, I'm looking it up.
I'll give you the one I'm definitely going to watch. Ole Miss, LSU. I like watching Ole Miss.
I like Ole Miss, but LSU I don't like Brian Kelly down there. So that they're very, very boring to me. I'm just not a fan of them.
All right, fair enough. You don't have to love it.
Let me see. You got Auburn, Georgia. That'll be a decent game. Oh no, that was already passed. Hold on, let me see. Those 2 are the only ones that really stand out. I kind of want to see. I'm more excited just to see with Texas and Oklahoma being in the SEC. Does that change necessarily how that matchup typically goes? Is it more or still look like a Big 12 matchup, or is it an SEC Clash of Titans type matchup? So I'm interested and kind of want to see. Oklahoma's been quiet. Like, you really haven't heard too much, or I really haven't been watching them as much as possible. So I'm anxious to see how they line up against Texas. Texas Texas, you can say, is probably the hottest team in the college world right now, honestly. Yeah. It pains me to say that.
No, they are. I think there's no question about it right now. I will say, though, Ohio State or Texas, if those guys matched up, because I think there's a real chance for Big Ten to be number 1 in the AP poll. And Ohio State, for whatever reason, always gets slotted at like 2 or 3. No matter how many games they win and how consistently they win, everybody always is like, well, you're not playing in the SEC. And I think Texas is the beneficiary of that this year, where they are. and now they're number one. Because I think you can make a strong case for Ohio State to also be number one, but they always kind of bow to the SEC.
That Florida Tennessee game, that's another game. I think Florida's 3-2, Tennessee's 4-1. That can give you an insight on a lot of stuff with Tennessee. That's a good challenge, for them. So I think that'll be definitely a good game to watch. Colorado and Kansas State.
Kansas State's going to blow them out. I think Kansas State's going to do work.
They said that about UCF too. So I mean, I'm not saying I'm a Colorado fan. I'm just saying that's going to be an interesting game. I don't know if it'll go down like that.
I just think Kansas State's so much better than UCF, though. Like, to put those guys on the same boat doesn't feel right.
Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's an interesting game to watch. I'm not saying you're wrong. Let me see what else. But I mean, that's pretty much the strong point of stuff. The other ones, Missouri's playing Massachusetts. They should blow them out the water.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is very boring. I mean, they're very traditional. I get tired of watching them. Don't want to really pay attention to them. So I mean,
here's one that do you circle this one to watch? South Carolina versus Alabama, or do you think Alabama's fine? They'll just come back, the chip on their shoulders established, and they'll be able to run the Gamecocks out of the game? Because they almost beat LSU 35-33. They blew the water out of Akron, and then Ole Miss, they got destroyed 27-3. So South Carolina, they are up and down.
Is it at South Carolina or is it at?
It's at Alabama.
I think you kind of hit the wasp nest with last week, and Alabama's going to be out for blood. So I don't think South Carolina has a chance. If it was at South Carolina, I would think differently. But I think Alabama is going to be out for blood, and they're going to try and reestablish things and kind of trying to like stop the bleeding of like what last week was just us more so overlooking Vanderbilt. We won't make that mistake again. So I'm not worried about Alabama in that one, honestly.
Yeah, and if there's South Carolina, it doesn't get any easier, really. I mean, it gets easier from Alabama, but they got a brutal sketch coming up here because they got Alabama, then they're on the road for Oklahoma, then they're at home, but they get Texas A&M, then they're on the road, Vandy, tough place to play these days, and then they're at home versus 21 Missouri. That's brutal.
That's good luck with that schedule. That's an SEC for you.
Oh, and I forgot they got Wolford, and then they finished the season playing number 10 Clemson at Clemson. One more ranked team. My bad. I forgot to throw that in there. I'll tell you which game I'm going to watch, and I'm hoping for a certain outcome that'll put a ear-to-ear grin on my face. Penn State, USC. I think Penn State murders USC in this game. I think this one's going to be ugly.
I don't think SC is at Penn State. Please tell me it's at Penn State.
I actually want to say it's on the road. Let me double check here. It might be on the road.
Let me see.
I just had it pulled up and I lost it. Okay, here it is. Penn State at USC.
At USC, yeah. I don't think USC knows what they're getting themselves into. I have no faith whatsoever with USC. People are SC. I was like, nah, I'm not worried about them at all. This game, I think that Penn State to continue to push up and stay in a high place for the rankings and whatnot, they need a dominant performance to kind of put their stamp of approval of like, y'all are not, just a good team. You're an elite team. So I think that's what the type of game it is for Penn State. SC, like I said once they get to the sixth game, it's over. Like it's not even you're not even talking about SC, the same way. And I think Penn State is too physical. I think there'll be too much to handle on both sides of the ball. And I think it'll be over pretty quickly. I think, at least by halftime, people might start changing the channel to other games and just kind of check back, late in the fourth quarter to see, how bad that type of game was. But yeah, I have no faith in SC at all.
No, it's your point with Penn State. I want to say this is the year for James Franklin, certainly against the playoffs. Because you look at the rest of their schedule's pretty easy. They got Ohio State, really the last tough opponent, counting this USC game as well. You can throw both those guys in there. But otherwise, you got Wisconsin and Washington and Purdue and Minnesota and Maryland. Now,
even if you lose to Ohio State, you're still okay. You won't get one of the four, but you'll get, 6 through 10. I don't think they'll be 11 or 12. 6 through 10 is very viable for them. The second round will probably, be their real test, because that's when, you start facing the elite teams. All, the teams that make it to, the 12-team playoffs, they're all good. After that first round, good goes to elite. You facing elite teams. So, even if they do lose one game, I still think they'll be in there.
Yeah, I think so too. Sitting 5-0 right now. Yes, they have some games where they haven't looked dominant, but they haven't really been that close either. So that's my whole thing. Like, it doesn't have to be dominant. If it gets to the end of it, it just doesn't feel close either. So, again, go ahead.
I got a question for you. Does Oregon honor Chip Kelly at the game? Or do they have a thank you video or anything? Or is it just regular another day in the office type situation?
That is a great question. Oh, man, I
don't think so.
I don't think they do either. I think no. They're sitting there at number 3 in the country right now. They're like, we're fine. It wasn't you. It's Oregon. I don't think they do it.
Nah, I don't either. I also forget Chip Kelly was right at UCLA. So he's been back to Oregon. They've seen him. So it's kind of like, no big deal type thing. I just thought it was funny. But, I still don't think Oregon has a chance. I think Gabriel, if Michigan State can get you to turn the ball over in striking distance, how easy they did, oh yeah, you're in trouble with Ohio State.
Yeah, and just kind of going through this, that's kind of the games I wanted to circle, right? And there's a few in there. Really, I'm just hoping for outcomes in this one, and just want to see if I get some questions answered or if I end up with more questions. Like this Alabama game, I don't think they're going to lose, but just depending on how the game flow goes and what that defense looks like, am I going to have more questions or am I going to have less questions? Because right now, I don't think the defense is very good. But if the defense, shuts out South Carolina in a very similar fashion, so what they just had not too long ago, where they only got 3 points versus Tennessee, then I start to think a little bit differently about, okay, maybe this defense just needed a reality call, like a wake-up call. And then the Penn State USC, another one where it's like, can I confirm that USC is going to need a serious adjustment period to playing Big Ten football? Right now, before the season, I said, yeah.
With the easy schedule, but continue.
With an easy schedule. No, that's important, right? Like I give Minnesota a ton of credit, and PJ Fleck, even though he's a different type of guy, he's built a culture there. But I'm not going to say that is a elite culture. And if USC and you're highly ranked and you're all this and that, I mean, how did you let that happen to you? Just get bullied.
That's a solid Big Team program. Period. That's what they are. But again, like I said, you make it a fist fight or a physical football game, then Pac-12 teams, I'm trying to tell you that's one thing. We haven't even gotten to cold weather. So
that's the best part.
It's gonna be ugly. Just imagine if that Oregon game was in Ohio at night.
Oh, game over.
You know what I mean? Or push that game back. This weekend I wouldn't say isn't really bad. Now this weekend you start to see, the cold kind of creep up. After this weekend, I think here on out, those night games or some of those early morning games in the Big Ten, yeah, good luck. If you're not used to that weather and those situations like that, it's not going to go well for you Pacific Coast, the West Coast type teams.
No, especially when you live in California. like even when you go back home and you get a nice little homestand, you're getting back used to that beautiful California weather. And then, I don't care if you run up the AC bill and you run the AC as cold as you possibly can. You can't replicate that frigid cold air when the wind's blowing at a lot of those teams in the Big Ten. Like, especially you talk about Ohio State, Michigan, those teams close to the lake. It's a different type of cold. You can't simulate it.
Camp Randall, late October. Oh my goodness. Iowa in November. Yikes. Like, I don't, that hurts. Football is a physical sport. Football hurts. You add the cold in that makes a lot of basketball players. That makes a lot of people go from being a student athlete to just a student. Like, it is not for the weak. I'm telling you.
Oh, I'll be honest, DPE. I knew I didn't love football when the weather was bad. I just this is cold. Like, I want to wear a sweatshirt under my pads. Like, it's like a thing you got to have. And I just think, especially the fact that if their home operation wasn't in the most, and the thing about California weather too, was that it doesn't change. Like, it just always kind of stays the same. So even a 5-point temperature swing feels like a lot to somebody who's lived in California and spent a ton of time in California. If you're in Nebraska and there's a 5-degree temperature change, you don't even really notice it that much. But it is. Go ahead. Yeah.
Their worst winter day is probably a day in our spring.
Yeah.
Sometime in March, it's still windy, still cold, but their worst day is a day in spring. That's nothing to people that, are from the Midwest or in the Midwest that's used to the wind or used to that cold and everything like that. You have those kids coming here, it's going to be a culture shock. They're going to mentally, I don't know, you'll find out who's mentally tough and who really wants to play football. You'll knock the fight out of the dog early on. And then from there, it's just imposing your will.
And how much do you really love football, right? Because it's also going to be a thing where, especially, again, going late season, that wind starts to howl. When you get those cold fronts running through the entire country, it gets windy, and on top of that wind, there's the obvious cold behind it. But we've seen those cold fronts throughout the late season just run through a lot of those Big Ten teams. Like, how much do you love football? Because you're not going to be able to play your previous style either, airing it out, throwing it around the yard, if you got some swirling winds. So you're going to have to play physical line of scrimmage football. And I think that's a way bigger adjustment. Like, even if we take the cold element out of it, the wind also doesn't happen in California and a lot of those teams. Like, Oregon's going to be a little bit better with the wind, but if you are a California team, again, going back to the weather analogy, you're going to notice 10-mile-an-hour gusts, 15-mile-an-hour gusts. Like, man, it's crazy windy today. And a lot of these Big Ten teams, it's like, that's just, it happens. So that's the other part. Like, it's going to get interesting to see how these teams try to handle those different elements. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for this week 7 because, to your point, this is when things really start to get testy. The competition's better. The weather's becoming a factor. And we're going to see if this travel becomes a factor as well for these teams out in the California, in particular in the Big Ten, having to consistently make these long flights, in your nice weather to landing in Ohio in frigid cold weather with the wind blowing. Like, that's a little bit of a culture shock in itself. Not even to mention, just a different kind of environment where you're going into an area where the pressure's there, because even if you're a Wisconsin, even if you're a team that's struggling in the Big Ten this year, there's typically just a way bigger fandom part of it. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Damari Pierson-El, before we get out of here, give me your upset of the week. Give me the one where you think this team's due for an upset.
Ooh, upset of the week. That is a good one. Would Oklahoma be upsetting Texas? Would that be?
I think so, because the conversation around Texas is that this is their year. They're dominant.
I can go. I'm stuck between that one and this Florida and Tennessee. I think Florida could do an upset because they kind of started off ugly, but they're kind of finding themselves and whatnot and kind of know what they do well. You going into Knoxville, so I'll take Florida upsetting Tennessee.
Okay, I thought you were going to take Colorado over Kansas State. I'm definitely not touching that upset.
I mean, to me, that's not an upset. Like I think Colorado would beat them.
Well, they're not ranked. And Kansas State's ranked 16, so it'd be a great upset, and the money lines would really love you for it.
Yeah, that one.
If you're Vegas, it's an upset. If you're DPE, it's just business as regular.
Exactly.
All right, I'll give you mine as we get out of here. Not a major upset, but I do think California takes number 22 Pittsburgh out. I think California, they've been solid. They've been sneaky good, and nobody's really talked about them. I think that's one where Pittsburgh's due, even though Pittsburgh's hosting. I think California goes in there, does some damage, takes the win, and maybe try to start getting the AP poll themselves. That's going to wrap it up for us. Don't go anywhere. Kendall Lanier of 1011 News up next. DPE, appreciate the time as always. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Appreciate you.